Welcome back, everyone, to the Wham! Big episode in store as we near the spectacle of amazing grapples, our biggest event of the year. We continue on the Derby, we continue on the Women's Wham! Prix, and we've got some database perusing to do. You can see up in the top left corner we have a second user highlighted. I just left the game as them, but what we did is we went in and we added an owner to Super Estrella Lucha Libre. For whatever reason, it takes them quite a while, if I don't just do this, for them to end up getting an owner, and the company is just going to sit dormant. It's going to lose money, it's going to cancel all of its events. So I decided to give Jamie Mora, a generated broadcaster who has actually got a bit of popularity in Mexico due to their commentary experience in football, or soccer in this case, because I am a filthy American. But he is going to take ownership of Super Estrella de Lucha Libre. He's currently the owner and booker, but he's got zero booking skill. So hopefully he hires a booker for himself, but we'll begin to see the roster develop from there. And if I have any guess, it's going to be a handful of Viva La Lucha workers. And speaking of Viva La Lucha, they are sitting atop of the world of wrestling. They are the number one company now, unseating SPW, 58 popularity in their home region. They're about to hit medium size with just one more point of popularity, which should only be just a matter of time. We'll probably see that in this episode. And SPW has really halted for a while. They've been at 55 popularity since April of 1932 in their home region of the Southeast. So not a lot of movement there. You can see in all their other regions, they're just losing popularity. Things are not going great. They lost some key broadcasting deals. So it'll be interesting to see how SPW rebounds now that they are not the number one company in the world, because they've got us right on their tail. We are at 52 popularity in the Mid-South. We're sitting in a better position in our secondary regions to end up getting into medium size than they are, so that's a good thing. But we will be not just setting our sights on surpassing SPW, but Viva La Lucha as well, which is a little unfortunate because I was actually going to try to build a really solid relationship with them and eventually maybe even create an alliance. But if they are our main competition, I don't know how I feel about that. That's just something that we'll see develop in the future. However, we are ready to go into our first event of the episode, the Fortnite Fisticuffs, the final one of January. We've got some pre-show matches, the first being a triple threat between the ladies. However, this match is not a part of the Women's Wham! Prix, as it is a pre-show match. Sheila Velasco, Mariana Colville, and Talia Rayleigh all scrap up, and we would see Sheila Velasco come out victorious here, despite the fact that she was the weak link of the match, with only an in-ring performance of 24, whereas Colville got a 36 and Rayleigh got a 33, match rating of 25. Our next pre-show match has got the junior heavyweight champion in action, just warming up, keeping himself ready to go as he shows Jeremy Funderburk a thing or two about getting down in the ring. Excellent in-ring performance from Hermenegildo with a 70, Jeremy Funderburk up at a 31, good to see him up in the 30s, and we get a match rating of 48 as the champion picks up a victory. Our final pre-show match is a heavyweight match, seeing Moses Lilia pick up a victory over Brian Hatcher. Moses Lilia with an in-ring performance of 42, he's starting to look pretty good, and we get a match rating of 39, Brian Hatcher got himself a 40. Now the show gets going with a dominant performance from Black Bull, just throwing around Jackson Barden, giving Barden the chance to get on the main card, but giving him the chance to just make Black Bull look good here, as Black Bull just dismantles, dominates, and puts him down. In-ring performance of 56 for Black Bull and a 26 for Jackson Barden, and we get a match rating of 48 to get things going. After the dominant performance, Black Bull is in the ring, looking imposing as ever, though the lights around him would begin to flicker, eventually going out entirely for a few moments, putting the show on hold. Mind you, at the last event, just a few days ago technically, in game time, Black Bull absolutely beat down Blue Mage and Craig Bean and sent Bryant Hines packing as well. So is this just some theatrics from Black Bull and Gary Gimmick, or is it some mind games from the Dark Carnival? Either way, we get a segment rating of 63. Great stuff. Our next match has got Turner Spittler back in the ring, picking up a victory as he is an angry man anytime he loses, and he took a big loss in the Derby tournament at the last event. So we're just getting him back in the ring, keeping his momentum warm, and showing that he is a force to be dealt with and Rocco Lockwood is the one to experience that, only getting an in-ring performance of 29. Turner Spittler got a 52, and we get a match rating of 46. Up next, we've got Matthew Scarborough in the ring, showing visible frustration from his recent shortcomings. Scarborough claims the Wham is working against him, actively sabotaging him. He claims that he is the fastest rising star on the roster, and it's time he is recognized as such. Scarborough then demands the title shot against Chuck Wellington for the Oklahoma Openweight Championship, which the crowd is in full support of. Chuck Wellington would then make his way from the curtain, spitting back that he does not get ordered around, especially from rookies like Matthew Scarborough. Chuck reinforces that he competes on his own terms, and Matthews will have to prove himself further if he wants to be considered for another title shot. Chuck Wellington becoming a star, and he's got good performance abilities, whereas Matthew Scarborough also becoming a star, but does not have the same kind of performance ability. So we just see a segment rating of 48, but continuing to plant that seed that Matthew Scarborough not only wants a shot at the Oklahoma Openweight Championship, but also is becoming just a little bit less cool about it, a little less cool-headed. Now our next match, the only match in the Women's Wham Prix this evening, is got Veronica Lutter and Birbidia Abeta. And Birbidia Abeta, of all people, in a one-on-one match, defeats Veronica Lutter. Big stuff. Definitely an upset. However, it is not without some shenanigans. During the match, we also had Kuni Hashiguchi distract Veronica. And this would ultimately be the foundation that allows Birbidia Abeta to pull off the huge upset over Veronica Lutter. We know that Veronica Lutter defeated Kuni Hashiguchi in what was supposed to be the match that got Kuni Hashiguchi into the championship match, but obviously that didn't go her way, and so she's just retaliating a little bit here in this way, and we see Veronica Lutter taking a loss, an unexpected loss here in the Women's Wham Prix. And this would put Birbidia Abeta at 3 victories, and this would qualify her for the points that she needs to get into that championship match. So if we got no ladies picking up a victory before Birbidia Abeta picks up 2, then she will punch herself a ticket into that title match. So big developments here. Match rating of 44. Our only junior heavyweight exclusive match on the main card is a triple threat between Archie Filer, Super Monkey, and Joe Cartwright. Just a really competitive match here, letting the junior heavyweights go at it a little bit and prove who is that next top dog that should be contending for a championship shot. And we actually see Super Monkey come away with the victory after he pinned Joe Cartwright thanks to his top rope leg drop that he's been implementing recently. And he only gets an in-ring performance of 53. I say only because he is the lowest competitor of the match, but 53 is still pretty good. Cartwright at a 57 and Archie Filer at a 65. These junior heavyweights give us a match rating of 63. Not really any kind of shenanigans, no extra segment or anything, just Super Monkey picking up a victory. You might have expected Archie Filer to be the one to pick up the victory here in front of these 2,510 people. However, it's not the case. Super Monkey is the one to come out on top. Our main event is a really strong match, the best match of the night. That's exactly what we hope for. And we see the Wham OGs, Bronson Fraley and Neil Allman, get their rematch for the tag team titles. Fraley with a 56, Neil Allman with a 67 best of the match. However, they come up short. Rahan Marlowe and Sebastian Morales show that despite competing against each other at the last event, they're still all good. They are still in good terms with one another. And Rahan Marlowe will actually be meeting Neil Allman at the next Amazing Grappling Spectacle as a part of the Derby tournament, competing for that heavyweight championship. So big matches ahead involving these guys. Bronson Fraley still in the tournament, however Sebastian Morales no longer. We do get a match rating of 64, Sebastian Morales with a 63 and Rahan Marlowe with a 62 as well. So really strong performance from our main eventers. We're able to close out the show in a strong way with a show performance of 62, increasing our popularity in almost all regions. And we praise Talia Rayleigh, Moses Lilia, and Turner Spittler after the show, still in really strong financial graces as we profit $24,000. And we do get tangible bumps in the Midwest, Southeast, and Southwest, however, no actual growth in the Mid-South. And I noticed something that I thought was interesting that I wanted to show you guys. We no longer have any major stars. Oh, Rahan Marlowe actually just peeked into there. Before that last event, we did not have any major stars. Everyone was just a regular star, which slightly impacted our attendance at times. However, Rahan Marlowe, now that he's got popularity 48, he's back to being considered a major star, which is good. But Friedrich Herzog, his absence has the loss of Friedrich Herzog left us with no major stars. Neil Allman, he's at 46. Sebastian Morales, he's at 46 in the Mid-South. He's at 50 in Centro, but that is Mexico, of course. Hermenegildo Ramirez, 45. And Turner Spittler out of 44. Those are 5 most popular characters. And it's just interesting because it seems that our company is growing a bit faster than we can make stars of that caliber, I guess, for lack of a better term. So it will be interesting to see. We're really going to have to put some focus into establishing those major stars, which I feel like in the term of the landscape of the company, we've got major stars, but in terms of the gameplay, we just got to bump them up a little bit more. And after advancing to our next event, you can see that Super Estrella has begun to build their roster a bit. Jamie Mora has hired on some talent. They've got some pretty solid names, honestly, that have been a part of Viva La Lucha. I'm not going to try to say all these names, but they've got some solid popularity in Mexico. They're going to be able to get things going pretty quickly right away. Palacio Sarabia has got 42. I guess actually Super Estrella is based in Sureste, so 42 isn't as impactful. He's got a 28 he's got a 28 in their home region. Ultimate Dolphin has only been around for a little while, but he's going to be big. You can see that he's got some really strong in-ring capabilities. Mario Hernandez isn't the biggest name, but he's definitely a name that I recognize who's been around for a while. Masked Leopard, that's quite the mask of a leopard right there. Masked Serpent, the luchadors are here, that's for sure. Santiago Campa, Salvador Mendiola. So they've got some names. I like their little background. I don't like that Cecilio does not have a picture. We might have to go change that for him. But otherwise, Super Flea, look at that. Okay, interesting look. White Heron, I recognize that name. Good worker, bad personality. So they've got some pieces that are coming into play. Just a men's division, but they do employ the world's first female referee, Fidelia Baez. Good for her, and she's now employed not only with Super Estrella, but Viva La Lucha as well. And they even had their first show, Ultimate Dolphin, coming out of the main eventing the night and picking up the victory. In-ring performance of 47 for him, and they get a match rating of 41, show rating of 32 on their very first show. That is quite the difference from Goof Wrestling, who is much smaller and also just had a big event go on, as Lionel Seidel retained his Goof Intercontinental title in Albie Dewberry's rematch, despite Dewberry getting a 43 and really carrying the match. They do get a match rating of 31. Gabriela Suarez lost her title as Queen of Goof against Emmeline Tyson, who is actually a pretty decent worker, but she's got that grifter personality, so if she's not happy, she's a negative influence. Otherwise, she is a pretty interesting prospect, so we've got her on our short list. Someone you might see in the WAM in the future. And that's just one thing that I love about the Goof, is that we can do a little bit of scouting, as it is an American company, so a lot of these workers are people that we could bring on if they've got the personality to do it. Taylor Simmons winning the primary championship, the King of Goof. The Intercontinental title, despite it being the most active title, is actually its secondary title. I didn't create that one. But also, Barry Trump quitting Goof because he was stiffed on his payment by Corey Sherman. This is probably, I think this is the 4th person that has walked out of this company due to Corey Sherman just being a dickhead. Barry Trump, unfortunate. He's one of those young wrestlers I wanted to see get some exposure, get some experience, because he's just got really low stats. You know, we're definitely not going to bring him in, that's for sure. So we're probably not going to see Barry Trump in the world for quite a while then. Unfortunate for the guy. Jamari Hickman, also someone who has walked out of Goof Wrestling because of Corey Sherman's mismanagement. So let me know in the comments if you think we should change Corey Sherman's personality, because he is a sleazy person. So if we changed his personality, there wouldn't be as many employee issues, I guess, for lack of a better word. But it also does keep things interesting, and it doesn't really affect us, so I could go either way. However, we are back with another edition of the Fortnite Fisticuffs, and we've got some pre-show matches to be expected. I'd hope so at this point. You should know this by now. But we've got a tag team match between some ladies as Sheila Velasco and Mariana Calvo team up to take on Ivy Baldridge and Rhea Quarry. we would see Ivy Baldridge pick up the victory after pinning Mariana Calvo. And remember, Ivy Baldridge was that first lady to secure her spot in the women's title match. So she's building some momentum here. You'd hope that she was the best in-ring performer in this match, and she was. She got a 37. Mariana Calvo not far behind with a 35. Sheila Velasco with a 25, and Rhea Quarry with a 28. The ladies give us a match rating of 25. Our next pre-show match, another tag team match, has got Maxwell Ham and Joel Cartwright teaming up to take on August Washburn and Jeremy Thunderberg. As you can imagine, Joel Cartwright and Maxwell Ham pick up the victory, with Maxwell Ham hitting Jeremy Thunderberg with a Dominator. Strong performances from that team, as Maxwell Ham got a 53, Joel Cartwright got a 60, August Washburn with a 29, and Jeremy Thunderberg with a 34. The boy is improving. Match rating of 47 for this pre-show match. And our first match of the night, more tag team action. What do you know? We've got a 6-man tag match with Woodrow Gunter, Moses Lilia, and Turner Spittler teaming up to take on the team of Brian Hatcher and Barakui. Turner Spittler would be the one to pick up the victory here for his team, pinning Brian Hatcher, hitting him with the power body slam. And there was a little bit of friction and tension amongst this team of Turner Spittler, Moses Lilia, and Woodrow Gunter. Turner Spittler would actually kind of snake the pinfall a little bit. He would vulture it, as Moses Lilia hit a big move, and then Turner Spittler runs in, hits Brian Hatcher again, and then vultures the pinfall, basically, So just rubbing his teammates the wrong way. He is a very selfish competitor, and that translates to his character. Woodrow Gunter with an in-ring performance of 56, the highest of the match. Moses Lilia at a 49, Turner Spittler 51, Kitahachi Kukui 44, Diego Bergen 40, and Brian Hatcher 42. So good work all around. Match rating of 52. Our next segment got the ladies back in the ring as Veronica and Jay Lutter make their way to the ring. Redundant, I apologize. And Veronica is fired up given Kuni Hashiguchi's interference in her match at the last event. Veronica states it's clear for everyone to see who the top women in the WAM are, but there's only room for one champion. Since there's only one spot left in the title match, and both Kuni and Veronica are one win away from that spot in the women's WAM Prix, Veronica challenges Kuni to a match to settle who should be the one to take that spot. Right here, right now. Hashiguchi made her way down to the ring, refusing the challenge for this evening, citing it as dishonorable to try to catch her opponent off guard. Kuni would then counter that challenge with a proper stage, the amazing grappling spectacle. Jay Lutter would quickly accept this challenge on behalf of Veronica, something that took her by surprise. So we have set the stage for the final determining matchup, I suppose, for the women's title match. Ivy Baldridge versus 3 question marks. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Kuni or is it going to be Veronica? We'll find out at the next amazing grappling spectacle, and we've got a segment rating of 39 here. Not bad given their low popularity. In our next match, we've got Matu Scarborough in a handicap match taking on Duke and Angus Wellington. And Matu Scarborough would be able to come out of this match victorious, pinning Duke Wellington, and this is basically the trial set place for him to have to get his shot back at Chuck Wellington, and he gets a victory over Chuck Wellington's brothers, so that's a good way to do it. He carries the match with an in-ring performance of 66, my goodness. Angus Wellington with a 25 and Duke Wellington with a 36, so Matu Scarborough, again, just showing the star that he's going to be, and he looked good out there, and we got a match rating of 52. The women's WAM Prix is not revolving around Kuni Hashiguchi and Veronica Lutter as much as it may seem like it, as we've got another match for that WAM Prix between Burbidia Abeta and Talia Rayleigh, and Burbidia Abeta actually picks up a victory over Talia Rayleigh, giving her her 4th victory here in this circuit, and she's already qualified for the points, so that means that if she picks up a victory before Kuni or Veronica, she will actually sneak her way into that title match against Ivy Baldridge. But Burbidia gets an in-ring performance of 37, Talia Rayleigh got a 30, not a terrible job here, but underwhelming as a whole. Match rating of 29. Now moving on to the next segment, Archie Filer is being interviewed by Riker Zucker. The fiery youngster claims he had his shot at Hermenegilda within his grasp, referring to last event's triple threat match, and if he gets one more shot, he knows he will come through. Filer urges Ramirez to man up and accept his challenge. Hermenegilda would then enter from the curtain and join the segment. The champion reiterated that he has already taken care of business when it comes to Archie Filer, and urges him to be better prepared next time so he can show up when it matters. Ramirez then highlights that Super Monkey separated himself from the pack and rightfully has earned that title match, and that's just something Archie Filer couldn't do. Segment rating of 49, we got Archie Filer persistently looking for that title match with Hermenegildo Ramirez. Ramirez, the veteran, telling the young kid, you had your chance, you didn't come through. And Super Monkey, he is basically earning that chance. So, step back and let someone who has rightfully earned that, has walked that path, get that shot. And we get a segment rating of 49, and that is a great segue into our next match. Junior heavyweight action as Raw LaBoy and Super Monkey go one-on-one. And Super Monkey would actually pick up the victory. Raw LaBoy was scrapping, doing whatever he could to gain an advantage, get neck and neck with Super Monkey. Raw LaBoy, not the most honorable of competitors in the ring, and he was, trying to pull some shenanigans. He started by untying the turnbuckle. However, Super Rabbit would come through and retie the turnbuckle. Yes, Super Rabbit, the new female addition to the roster. She has come in support of Super Monkey, and these two basically seem to be working together in some way. They seem to be in cahoots. But this would throw Raw LaBoy off, ultimately causing a distraction after she kind of nullified his attempt to be a little slimy, giving Super Monkey the opportunity to put Raw LaBoy down, hit him with that flying leg drop, and win the match. We get a match rating of 53, good work here, Raw LaBoy with an in-ring performance of 44, and Super Monkey with a 53. Now our main event brings Bronson Fraley and Sebastian Morales in the ring, two competitors in the last event's tag team title match. Bronson Fraley still alive in the Derby, Sebastian Morales unfortunately is not, but we would actually see Sebastian Morales pick up the victory over Bronson Fraley of all things. Definitely working against Bronson Fraley's momentum a little bit. However, it wouldn't come without its own bit of shenanigans. We didn't add anything because we got a segment for it, but also I didn't want to deplete the rating of our main event match. But Black Bull would come out to the curtain. Black Bull is Bronson Fraley's opponent at the next round of the Derby, and we got some major tensions brewing. Bronson Fraley, his eyes are locked. He totally loses grasp of what the task at hand is, and that is Sebastian Morales, who is a very formidable competitor, and if I'm not mistaken, the reigning champion in Viva La Lucha for like 3 years. Bronson Fraley's lack of attentiveness allows Sebastian Morales to turn things around, pick up the victory, and we get a match rating of 64. Great stuff here. Bronson Fraley 57, Sebastian Morales 61. Neil Allman got a note for his good work ringside, and the boys went out and tried to steal the show. Didn't even type anything in. Oh my gosh, I goofed on that one. But we would see Neil Allman make his way up. Neil Allman and Black Bull would brawl. Neil Allman ultimately getting the upper hand thanks to some Bronson Fraley interference. But the show ends with the champion standing tall, and we know that Black Bull has been hot on his trail. So whether Neil Allman gets out of his match with Rohan Marlowe as champion, we'll have to see about that one. But he gets a little one-up here on Black Bull. I can't believe I didn't type anything. That is not, I don't like that. That's an ugly sight to see for something that's on the main card, let alone something that closes out the show. But we get a segment rating of 62. And that is strong enough to give us an overall show rating of 61, raising our popularity in all the regions that we are broadcasted in. And again, top to bottom, good work here. Burbidia and Talia didn't have a great match, and Veronica and Cooney didn't have a great segment, but otherwise, good stuff being done. And we praised Turner Spittler, Talia Rayleigh, and Moses Lilia after the show. But I realized that I don't think we even needed to praise Moses Lilia because he's back to positive morale. But anyway, we profit $21,000 from the show. We're nearly at $200,000 in our total finances, and we see tangible bumps in our Mexico regions. And we see the note that Neil Allman has officially left CSW, making him officially exclusive to the Wham. However, I don't think that contract $20 per show, that's not correct. I think, he's $30 per show with us. We've got some character ideas, so we're going to go ahead and divvy them out. 3 unspecified character ideas. We're going to give 1 to Chuck Wellington, still annoyed. And then we're going to give another to Ivy Baldridge. She's only irritated, so this might actually bring her up. Oh, not if it's a failure, though. That's unfortunate. That means we're using this one right back on Ivy Baldridge. It was a success and it was enough to bring her up to happy. And we've got a few contracts that are coming to an end. We're not going to let either of these happen. RT Lincoln, I think it's safe to say to just put him to an ongoing handshake. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. Same with Matu Scarborough. I'm going to make it a 2-year contract, and then at the end of this 2-year contract, I think I'm going to make the play to make things exclusive with Matu Scarborough. Facebook official, if you will. And here we are. We've got 3 editions of the Fortnite Fisticuffs before our next amazing grappling spectacle. What a treat. The third one, our go-home show, basically, has got a couple pre-show matches, and we're getting started with Turner Spittler beating up on Jeremy Funderburk. Unfortunately, these two just don't click at all, and it showed in their performance. Really poor all around. Turner Spittler just down at a 39. Funderburk really off of his game, in addition to their poor performance together, making for a 22, and we just get a match rating at 32, but Turner Spittler does pick up a victory. Tag team action by the ladies, and this is really unfortunate as Kuni Hashiguchi sustained a big injury right before a big match. But we've got Kuni and Veronica teaming up and taking down Burbidia, Abeta, and Ivy Baldridge. The top 4 ladies in our women's Grand Prix just getting together in this pre-show tag team match, so no implications, no effect on the Grand Prix itself. But we do see Ivy Baldridge, the only one who is qualified for the title match with the lowest performance in the match. 34 for her, 44 for Abeta, 52 for Veronica Lutter, and a 50 with Kuni Hashiguchi's cracked tailbone. Match rating of 34. And unfortunately, this was going to bring some heat onto Ivy Baldridge for being the one to injure Kuni Hashiguchi. Now the show is really getting going. We've got Black Bull defeating Kitahachi Kukui in under 6 minutes in a dominant performance. All 4 competitors in the Derby that are still alive, still active, will be taking part in matches this evening as just a bit of a preview for the action that we're going to get there. We are in front of 2,886 people, which I believe is the most we've ever had, so great things there. Match rating of 54 as Black Bull got a 55 and Kitahachi Kukui got a 44. Our next match, Bronson Fraley, Woodrow Gunter. Bronson Fraley picking up the victory. Despite getting the lower performance of the two, he got a 54, Gunter got a 57, and we get a match rating of 57 as we continue to see the Derby heavyweights building some momentum. However, we've got to take a break from the Derby competitors and highlight this Oklahoma Openweight Championship match as Chuck Wellington has decided to put his title on the line against Brian Hatcher. And Chuck Wellington would come out on top against the very large man that is Brian Hatcher. He's like 6'5" or something like that, 6'6", 270. Big dude. But Chuck Wellington is able to pull enough shenanigans to pick up a victory thanks to some Angus Wellington and Duke Wellington stuff at ringside. This makes defense number 6 of his Oklahoma Openweight Championship. In-ring performance of 43 for Chuck and a 38 for Brian Hatcher, and surprisingly, we get a match rating of 49. Chuck Wellington is not the liability that he used to be, my goodness. However, livid at being excluded from the title match, Matu Scarborough storms the ring and launches an attack on Chuck Wellington. Matus would lay in a few good strikes, but would ultimately be pulled off by Duke, while Angus threw a tantrum. So just painting the picture of Duke, the no-nonsense brother, kind of stepping in and separating Matu Scarborough from Chuck, but Angus Wellington is just there animated, screaming his head off, almost like a pallbearer kind of level. But we get a segment rating of 51, building the tension between these two. Now the Derby competitors get back to action as we see Rahan Marlowe picking up a victory over Maxwell Ham. Maxwell Ham, very good competitor. He was actually a part of the Derby, lost in the first round, but he's got a bright future. He's still a young guy. He gets an in-ring performance of 53. Rahan Marlowe doing a great job, getting an in-ring performance of 57. Altogether, we get a match rating of 58. Now our junior heavyweight main event is a great match. Match rating of 66 as we had some boys show out. We had Hermenegildo Ramirez teaming up with his challenger Super Monkey, facing off against Archie Filer and Joel Cartwright, two very competent junior heavyweights. And we would see Hermenegildo Ramirez picking up the victory, building momentum, showing why he's the champion, defeating Joel Cartwright with a Hurricane Rana, and also getting the best in-ring performance of the match at a 69. Archie Filer had a 68, Joel Cartwright had a 57, and the number one contender, Super Monkey, had a 53, but we get a match rating of 66 from the junior heavyweights. Now our main event, excellent match between Neil Allman and Sebastian Morales. This is a non-title match just given the nature of the Derby being held and everything. Exhibition contest, but we do see Neil Allman pulling out the stops to defeat Sebastian Morales. Just straight up match, but not a straight up clean ending. Neil Allman would be pulling on the tights, and I know there's a specific ending for that, but it would really hurt the rating with our audience, and I wasn't going to do that to the main event. I wanted that 68. And we would see these boys perform, Neil Allman just shysting away his victory a little bit, but still two really good competitors going at it in a 14-minute match, Neil Allman coming out on top. All four competitors of the Derby that are still standing, picking up a victory tonight and building some momentum. We get a show rating of 66, again really strong, not a single main card match under a 49, so that's really encouraging, and we get a show rating of 66, growing that popularity steadily. After the show, we praise Chuck Wellington, Turner Spittler, and Kuni Hashiguchi. We do see that cracked tailbone. It's going to linger for 30 days, but she can work through it. That is a good thing. And we profit $30,000 for the very first time thanks to our massive ticket sales and really strong merchandise as well. We do go from 52 to 53 in the Mid-South, gaining that ground on SPW. And as we prepare to get into the amazing grappling spectacle 93, we've got to show you the outlook on not just the Derby matches that we've got tonight, but also the women's WHAM Prix. As you can see, Ivy Baldridge, that #1 spot, she has locked up her shot at the inaugural WHAM Women's Championship. However, she's got a crowded bunch right beneath her, as Kuni Hashiguchi, she was dominating the entire circuit the entire time. However, her momentum came to a screeching halt when Veronica Lutter really started to poke her head out and really started to become available for some of our damn shows. However, these two are not the only ones with just one victory away from qualification, as Birbidia Abeta has really popped her head out, catching a lot of people by surprise, and she is just one victory away as well from earning that shot into the title match. Hashiguchi with 334 points gives her the edge for the official second place. Veronica Lutter 312 points and Birbidia Abeta 272. Talia Rayleigh is in that next spot with 2 victories and 280 points. However, she actually has the most losses in this entire circuit. She is 2-7 when it comes to the women's WHAM Prix. Mariana Calvo down there in 6th place at 1 victory and 155 points, and Sheila Velasco has gotten a victory for herself, but only 132 points. We are really down to a 3-person race, and really we've got Kuni Hashiguchi and Veronica Lutter scheduled for a one-on-one match this evening, so you'd imagine that one of them is going to move into that spot. Birbidia Abeta may just be too much of being on the outside looking in this case. But we are going to get some answers for that tonight, but it's not the only thing that we've got on our hands, as we've got the Derby semi-final round, the continuation of the heavyweight tournament, where the heavyweight champion puts his title on the line in every match that he competes in. So we are guaranteed the winner of the Derby is also the heavyweight champion. And tonight, we've got Black Bull and Bronson Fraley, a classic rivalry here in the WHAM. These two know each other very well, they've got history, and they're going to meet once again in the ring. And whoever wins that match will go on to the final of the Derby. Fun fact, Black Bull has never not made it to the semifinal, but he has never made it past the semifinal round. So can this event be his event to make it into the finals? And whoever wins that match will be facing the winner of our main event tonight. Rahan Marlowe, Neil Allman, 2 powerhouses in the WHAM. These two have put together some of the most impressive and compelling matches in WHAM history, and we're going to see if they can do it again tonight. Rahan Marlowe had what you could probably consider as the strongest heavyweight championship reign in WHAM history, and Neil Allman is determined to take that spot as he is reaching just around 1 year on his current championship reign. But we can't get to any of those matches until we get through our pre-show matches. We've got some tag team action, intergender tag team action, as Talia Rayleigh and Woodrow Gunter team up to take on Mariana Calvo and Brian Hatcher. And we actually had some really good performances here. You can see that Hatcher and Woodrow Gunter elevated the performances of Rayleigh and Mariana Calvo, as Talia Rayleigh got a 37, Woodrow Gunter got a 53, Mariana Calvo got a 35, and Brian Hatcher got a 40. Altogether, we would see a match rating of 41 as Talia Rayleigh picked up the victory. Now in our next and final pre-show match, a 4-person contest between the junior heavyweights not involved in the main card. Archie Filer, Rolla Boy, RT Lincoln, and Joe Cartwright all scrapping, going head to head, and we would see Archie Filer come out on top. And he really set the pace with an excellent in-ring performance of 67. RT Lincoln did his best to keep up at a 60. Joe Cartwright with a 59 and Roller Boy with a 47. Mind you, we did not inspire the locker room. These folks are just coming out determined and really putting forth some good performances. It's really encouraging, and we get a strong 58 on the pre-show. Now our first match of the night, Maxwell Ham, Sebastian Morales in just some exhibition one-on-one contest, and Sebastian Morales handles business, picks up the victory over Maxwell Ham with the top rope splash. Not a lot to this one, just good performances. There's like 2 matches tonight that are going to have awful ratings, so I want to pad the card with as many good ratings as we can. Maxwell Ham in-ring performance of 51, Sebastian Morales with a 64, and we get our night started with a match rating of 59. Now our next match, definitely not going to be the best match of the night, Turner Spittler and Kamari Flanders. Unfortunately, another pairing with Turner Spittler where they have zero chemistry whatsoever. However, we do see a little bit better of a performance this time around. Turner Spittler with a 42, Kamari Flanders down there at a 23. Turner Spittler flattens the junior heavyweight with a match rating of 39. And what I didn't mention is that Turner Spittler would really take it to another level with his brutality and his aggression and his physicality. After the match, he would continue to beat on Kamari Flanders, pummeling down, hitting him with multiple body slams, multiple power slams, just making the junior heavyweight feel it and regret getting in the ring with Turner Spittler, reinforcing that ruthlessness that he advertises. But following the carnage, Moses Lilia would come to the ring and step up to Turner Spittler. The 2 large men made for an intense confrontation, with the crowd buzzing in excitement. However, nothing would actually come of it. Turner Spittler would leave the ring rather slowly, very confidently, very pleased with what he's done. Moses Lilia would kind of tend to Kamari Flanders a little bit, and we get a segment rating of 53 as Moses Lilia confronts Turner Spittler. Now, this was the match that I was afraid of, but it actually wasn't the worst thing in the world. We have Matu Scarborough challenging Chuck Wellington for the Oklahoma Openweight Championship. However, Chuck Wellington would intentionally get himself counted out. He would realize that the smoke was not what he wanted at this point in time. Matu Scarborough was all over Chuck, coming out looking really good. However, Chuck Wellington took the coward's way out, got himself intentionally disqualified, losing the match but securing the championship. Not something that we haven't seen from Chuck before, just in terms of snaking his way into walking out still champion. Matu Scarborough is livid, by the way, with the way that this all goes down. He wants the match to continue. He tells Kenny Lyles, screw it, don't count him out, let me go get him. And Kenny Lyles is like, nope, I gotta do what I gotta do. Match is over. And the fans obviously hated the ending to the match, which explains our segment rating of 39. We are able to warm things up a little bit more with a segment rating of 41 as Kuni Hashiguchi makes her way to the ring for her scheduled match with Veronica Lutter. However, Jake Lutter is the only one who shows up. Kuni Hashiguchi knows exactly why this is and asks Jay to share with the audience why Veronica is not here tonight when he gets into the ring. Jay Lutter would regretfully report that Veronica Lutter is already booked with TWA this evening and is not even in the state. Kuni would then declare an automatic victory via forfeit until a new challenger would appear to answer the challenge. A little redundant with the word challenge, but too late to change it now. But anyway, we get Birbidia Abeta stepping up to answer the call against Kuni Hashiguchi, and we know that Birbidia Abeta in the same stakes as Veronica Lutter. If she wins the match, she's in that title match. So this match carries those same consequences, the same potential rewards for coming out on top. And we see a good match. Kuni Hashiguchi has a cracked tailbone, but you wouldn't know it because she's still got an in-ring performance of 55. Birbidia Abeta really strong with a 43. And with a victory here, Kuni Hashiguchi cements her spot into the women's title match against Ivy Baldridge. Despite all the drama, all the potential things going wrong for Kuni Hashiguchi, the potential surprise contenders that just popped up and almost snatched it from her, Kuni Hashiguchi does get it done, and she wins the match, securing the title shot and she will be competing for the chance to be the very first WHAM Women's Champion. And we get a match rating of 50. Good work here. These two have really good chemistry. You love to see that. Verbidia with a 43, strong performance. We already mentioned Kuni's 55. And we're ready to move on as we set the stage for Kuni Hashiguchi, Ivy Baldridge for the WHAM Women's Championship. Now our next match is the first match in our continuation of the Derby tournament here tonight. Black Bull, Bronson Fraley, one-on-one, and Black Bull scratches himself into the finals of the Derby for the very first time. Big moment for Black Bull. Huge moment, in fact. Neil Allman couldn't believe it as he was working ringside. Bronson Fraley was shocked that he took the loss, but in just a physical, competitive match, Black Bull wins clean thanks to the gore. And that means Black Bull will be competing for the WHAM Heavyweight Championship, regardless of who it will be against, whether that's Neil Allman or Rahan Marlowe. Altogether, match rating of 54, strong work here, and just an emotional victory for our boy, Black Bull, who has come so far. And now our junior heavyweight main event of the night. The championship is on the line as Hermenegildo Ramirez successfully defends against Super Monkey. It took him 13 minutes and 10 seconds, but he does defeat him with the pinfall thanks to that Hurricane Rana. This is defense number 5 for Sir Hermenegildo Ramirez. And Super Monkey put in a really strong performance, but just couldn't get it done. He is a really good worker, but he may not be quite on that level of elite tier in his division. But I got a lot of love for Super Monkey. He's a good character, good worker, good backstage, and he does everything that we ask him to do. So, in-ring performance of 53 for him, Hermenegildo with a 63, and we get a match rating of 62. Now our main event of the night, Rahan Marlowe, Neil Allman. These two have delivered some bangers here before, and they do it again. This isn't the best match in WHAM history, but it is very strong in that placement. Neil Allman coming out on top, defeating Rahan Marlowe in a big match. Rahan Marlowe was this close to winning that championship back, but just the 2.9 kick out left the fans in awe of what was going on. Rahan Marlowe couldn't believe it. Neil Allman gathered himself, hitting him with the pounce, picking up the victory and defending his championship. And that means that we've got Neil Allman and Black Bull in the final of the Derby for the WHAM Heavyweight Championship. Match rating of 64 here, and the main event does help us close out the night in a very strong way. We get an overall rating of 61, only growing our popularity in 5 regions. We may have capped out in the Mid-South, but even with a few not great matches as the Oklahoma Openweight Championship match and Turner Spiller Kamari Flanders didn't turn out very great, well, a lot of good things done here on this match card. And after the show, we praise Super Monkey, Turner Spitler, and Chuck Wellington. Big profits, $34,590 for this show. You'd love to see it. We are in a completely different space from needing that financial bailout all those years ago. And tangible bumps in all of our other regions aside from the Mid-South. We're now at 31 in the Midwest, 26 in the Southeast, 27 in the Southwest, and 19 in our Mexico regions. And you hate to see this. This is the TWA show that Veronica Lutter was not available for to be a part of. She wasn't even a part of the show. Maybe she was needed backstage or something like that, but maybe she's a manager actually. She is a really good manager, so maybe she manages somebody out here. But Veronica Lutter's unavailability has cost her a shot at the WHAM Women's Championship. Very unfortunate. Crazy that they only have an attendance of 55 still, and they're putting up show ratings of 57. Yeah, I mean, their popularity is at 29 in the Midwest. Maybe it's because it's a tour or something like that, but they just don't pull in the audience. They even have Elijah Mays, which is a big name in the world of wrestling. Look at that. He's got really strong popularity, but they just can't put it together, apparently. Unfortunate. And some good news for our finances. Not that we're in a bad spot by any means, but Berbidia Abeta and now Mariana Calvo have both relocated to the Mid-South, so we're no longer paying for any kind of travel for them. Albie Dewberry's still doing great things over in Goof Wrestling. In-ring performance of 41 as he defeated the King of Goof. However, it was a non-title match, so he doesn't get any championship from it, but still doing his thing over there. And we see another young wrestler, two more young wrestlers actually, leaving Goof after Porter Eilers was stiffed on his payment by Corey Sherman, and Rhodes Perry also stiffed on his payment. Rhodes Perry, not a good worker at all. Goof Wrestling was his only shot at becoming a better worker and getting some opportunity, because he's not even worth throwing in developmental for your own company right now. He is 6'4", 294 pounds, but yeah, just terrible stats. Porter Eilers, though, not the worst worker in the world. He has got some potential, good personality, terrible consistency, but some potential with his flashiness and aerial maneuvers. Psychology isn't the worst for how young he is. But now he's out of work, so the Goof Wrestling Association, company, organization, whatever, continues to deter their own wrestlers away. However, they do have a decent sized roster. They got 24 workers, so they probably got about 19 wrestlers. We can see that Super Estrella has held their second show, got a show rating of 32 in front of 58 people. So we'll keep an eye out on how they continue to develop and grow. And one other thing that is pretty cool, it's not exactly our full goal, but if you go and look at our total the total fan base in the entire world, we're number 3. But if you go and look at America specifically, we are number 1. We are the number 1 company in America. That is beautiful. We have surpassed SPW, we surpassed Viva La Lucha. I mean, we've probably always been ahead of Viva La Lucha, but huge growth for the WAM. Amazing to see. But we're still going off of our entire world presence, so we still got some work to do. However, that's going to do it for me here in this episode. We made a lot of progress, and we have got a huge event of the Spectacle of Amazing Grapples to prepare for in the next episode. So hopefully I'll see you there. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take it easy.